Hello and welcome to another game review. There are so many positive things that I want to say about this game, and since that will be the majority of this video, I will just list few nitpicks first and then go on to telling you what I like about it. First off, I sometimes had problems with the camera control in tight spaces. It repositioned itself whenever the main character moved, thereby making me fall to my death more times than I would like to admit. The worst part is when the game had me do platforming with such an unruly camera. It didn't quite make me angry, but it would be much better if the camera was done better. Besides that, some problems were minor bugs, like a guard getting stuck or the odd combat bug. I once had to reload a previous save game and thereby losing a lot of progress because a red NPC got stuck in combat with me even though I ran away to the other side of the map. And on top of that, I encountered weird system lag spikes, which didn't happen often, and I'm not sure if it was the game's fault or my PC's, so I won't really begrudge the game for it. Now that I have the nitpicks out of the way, let's talk about what makes this game so great. The story is set in the world of Pangea, which is inhabited by anthropomorphic animals that have their kingdoms, societies, and everything that comes with it. Sadly, the game doesn't show much of that, since the main character only meets few members of the other species, but it does a great job of setting up the wonderful world. Right at the start, after walking few meters away from the cell in which the main character wakes up, the groundwork is set up. Rats are the obvious rulers of the part that you are in, a frog is caged and gives you exposition about pirates and how frogs are actually evolved too. So, at the 10-minute mark, the player gets to know in what kind of world he is in, from the societal development side to the creatures that inhabit it. It is all quite well paced and written, and during the whole game it just continues to be like that. The story and the world building are mostly found in written form like books and mail that you must find if you want to know more, but it is not mandatory. The main story can still be followed even if the player decides to skip the collectibles on the side. Besides this, the game world is filled with few fun characters too, like the frog pirate that I mentioned before. For instance, you can offer to free him, and he just states that being free was the reason why he eventually got locked up, and thanks you for asking, but no, he decides to stay there on his cozy chair. Or the pair of mouse thieves that offer to help you get out, and you do many missions for them too. I won't go further into detail for fear of spoilers and all. But trust me, the characters are so well written that everyone will grow to either love or hate them quite fast. Another thing that I want to talk about is the world. It feels so alive with all its beautiful colors and sounds. Even the starting cell tells stories, with its item placements and the sounds surrounding it. And best of all, this is constant. Even after hours of playing this game, I still gasped every time I found a different part of the game. All the way from the deep dungeons filled with the crackling sounds of flaming torches to the lush forest outside, where the wind rushes through the leaves, crafting such an immersive atmosphere that made even the most tedious of collectible quests a treat to do. Now, talking about the quests, there are many of them, and the player gets to decide how he goes about doing them. I would recommend on doing all of them to get the best feel for the game, or at least doing the main quest first and then trying a new playthrough and doing all the side quests. Many of them are intricate and add a lot to the main story, and they do help to flesh out the world. But of course, as in many games, there are collectible side quests that don't really advance the story, but they do give the main character helpful items or give him special abilities that help with certain gameplay mechanics. These mechanics are mostly focused on stealth, which is wonderfully done. There are clear indications when you're about to be seen and how far the enemies are, or if they are about to stop searching for you. And thank God it doesn't take the usual steps of the modern stealth game, where if a guard sees you, every other guard in the area gets automatically alerted of your presence. There is no real way to hurt the guards in the game. All the main character can do is daze some of them for a while so you can plunder the riches of the room they are in, or just pass them without the hassle of getting chased. Another thing to do besides walk around are puzzles. There are so many of them. Some normal puzzles where you try to find the proper lever or just turn some rings on the wall in a certain way, while some puzzles are tied to the conversation trees, in which you must decide about how you will treat certain NPCs. This part of the game is quite linear and it doesn't really give a lot of chance for error, since the NPC just looks at you oddly and asks you if you can try again. So, to wrap this all up, Ghost of a Tale is a really good game. I keep saying that indie circles are the place to look for if people want to play good games. And this one just goes to prove that statement. It has such a nice charm to it, and it's immersive like not many other games are these days. And the attention to detail just goes to show how much love was put into this game. So if you are thinking of buying a game, you have to buy Ghost of a Tale. It deserves it, and it is probably one of the best games to come out this year so far. And as always, goodbye and thanks for listening.